not sure how you got here, but certainly I'm glad you came. And if you are new here, well, you're in for a treat. Alright, if you like horror, beauty, commentary, and anything in between, I suggest that you go ahead and subscribe. For the low price of $0, you get to wonder if this is the same tank top I had on last night. And here are my socials. Let's hang out. I like to interact with you guys there, especially since I'm still in the middle of a job hunt. I need things to do. Okay, today is Terror Tuesday, and I'm very, very excited, and I'm going to try again to do makeup while talking. I failed. Okay, so I totally made an attempt to put this on while I was talking, and it did not work out. It was just a lot of weird rambles. I don't know why that happened. Also, my eyes are stupid red. It's been really hot here, and the humidity is 1,000%. So, to appease you makeup gods out there,
I like the way she looks at me. I'm liking the time we spend. She my best friend till she get that D. Hold on, let me sing. Say, oh, she drop dead gorgeous. If you tryna step up to that bitch, be cautious. Rapping in the mirror, putting makeup on. Now you got an anthem, baby. This your song. Tell 'em. Yeah, she drop dead gorgeous. Oh, she drop dead gorgeous.
Alright, now that that weirdness is out of the way, what I would like to do today is tell you that I watched The Lodge so you don't have to for Terror Tuesday. Now, The Lodge was on Hulu. I don't know if it still is, but it was when I watched it. And it is set up to be kind of like a hereditary, midsummer type movie.
It fails.
Trigger warning, this particular movie deals with some very graphic things, including self-destruction. We'll say self-destruction. And I don't handle it with kid gloves because I'm not very sensitive. Okay, so it starts out and you see Alicia Silverstone is in this movie. She's in this movie. Anyway, the husband I'm going to refer to them again by their actor names. If you're new to my channel, I forget every character's name, almost without fail. And then randomly I might remember it, but this one I'm not because this movie was... So anyhow, you have Alicia Silverstone. Why am I making this so difficult? Anyway, you have Alicia Silverstone, and she's there, and I guess she's washing dishes or something, and her kids are there or whatever. And so the husband's like, hey, so we need to sign the divorce papers because
I want to marry this other chick.
And she's like,
okay.
So then you cut over to Alicia Silverstone, and she's in her house or whatever, and she's like, bam! She does away with herself. Does away with herself. She's in this movie for this long, and then you see a funeral and all of that stuff. She does away with herself, the funeral has happened, and now for one reason or another they're going to a lodge. The dad is taking new girlfriend, fiance, whatever, and his two kids, daughter and son, and they're going to go to this lodge. I don't know why, but they're going to the lodge. And they get to the lodge, and then dad's like,
I got to go, I have some work bullshit.
Whatever thing they made up to make sure that stepmom stays with kids alone in this cabin, the lodge. Clever play on words. So anyway, he's like, are you sure you're gonna be cool with the kids by yourself? And she's like, yes, it's gonna be fine. And he's like, all right, bye babe. And she's like, bye. So then he leaves and she's home alone with those two monstrous children. Okay, now as many of you may know, I don't have children for specific reasons. Also, my children would be raised on nothing but coffee and horror, and I just don't think that that's good for children. Is it? Somebody tell me. So the son starts finding out about new stepmom with daughter or his sister. We'll call her sister right now. So son finds out with sister that, stepmom used to be in a cult. What? Yes. And she was the only surviving member of a end-of-life cult. We'll use that term. But you know what I'm talking, Jim Jones Kool-Aid type thing, which is insensitive as well. But I just don't know what else to say. So, he finds this out, and weird things start happening in the lodge. The thing about this movie, though, that's really messed up is that they really telegraph virtually everything, and you know without a doubt like what's happening, so it's not really creepy. Like their clothes go missing, and you know it's like where the clothes, the dog goes missing, and it's like, I'm sorry, I let the dog out, like da, da, da. Meanwhile, like stepmom is slowly devolving, and they're like using some of the stuff from like her creepy cults to like with her mind. So stepmom starts to slowly devolve, and you are fully immediately aware that it's those damn kids. Those kids are up to no good. Zip, zero, zilch. They're up to no good. They're the ones doing it. And she's like losing her fucking mind. She's like, ugh. At one point, one of the boys, the only boy, does like a whole thing where it looks like he's. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do that for. I'm not gonna say the words because I don't want to get in trouble. But it looks like he's like, so anyway.
I want to apologize for saying like 87,000 times in this thing. It's late. It's probably 2 in the morning. So late. Just leave me alone. But I'll stop doing. No, I won't. I'm not gonna lie. Carry on.
And she, of course, freaks out, and like that's her final straw. Like the stepmom is like. Also, she's not able to take her medication because those little shits hid it from her. Because that's smart. They're trying to like get rid of her because they know that she is the reason that their mom is no longer with them. So at least that's how they feel. And is it that way? I mean, we don't really know because you see Alicia Silverstone for this long. And again, I feel like they were trying for a very specific moment. And we'll get to that here when we're doing the final review. But then as she devolves into insanity, she can't take her anxiety and like mental health medication. And I do this because she's not doing so good here. So she's not doing good in her mind. I don't know what medication she's taking for her psychosis. It's something, but she can't take it. And those kids have hidden it. And then after she like starts just freaking out, she leaves because she's trying to find the damn dog. She goes outside and they're like, no, come back. You're gonna freeze out there. Oh yeah, there's also a blizzard. Once again, details. So there's also a blizzard, and she goes out to get the dog in the blizzard. They can't make any phone calls. Everything's missing. It's a big old mess. So she goes out to get the dog, and like she's just not coming back. And they're like, oh shit, like we have severely fucked up. Like let's get all the shit. And they go get the stuff out of like this little closet, put everything back because they're like, ooh, she's like not doing so good. We've made some mistakes, because they have made some mistakes.
These kids suck.
Okay, moving on. So, but it's too late. She's too far gone at this point. So she comes back in, and they like try to like let her sleep or whatever, but she ain't doing so hot. So she comes into the room, starts to talk about sin and how they have to like make up for their sins, and she has the kids, and they're like, ooh, and then she is very upset, and she's telling them all this stuff, and then the dad comes back, finally. So the dad comes back, and when he arrives, he's like on the stairs or something, be like, babe, like, calm down. And she's like,
we have to atone for our sins. We must atone for our sins.
and then like somehow she shoots him, and he's dead. And the kids are like, ah, and like now they're realizing like we done fucked up. Like they knew that before, but they really should have thought this through. Anyway, I mean, I get it, they're children, but like, anyhow, the movie basically ends with her having like dragged their dad to the dinner table. He's dead, and she's dragged dead dad to the dinner table, has sat him down, and like making the kids eat, and they're afraid to eat, and there's, you know, a loaded gun next to her, and you know, those kids fucked up, so it doesn't go well for them. It kind of blacks out, I guess. You don't really see what happens to the children, but you know, she's done so. So This movie is terrible for a horror film, and there's several reasons why. One, I already talked about it, the telegraphing of virtually everything that's happening. There's no point where you ever think that anything creepy is actually going down. Like when the stuff starts going missing in the lodge, you don't ever feel like there was like an entity that took it or anything like that. Like in Hereditary, you could definitely feel it, like the atmosphere was there. The lodge has zero atmosphere. The atmosphere is hot garbage. They literally just tried to use the idea of them being trapped in the lodge in a blizzard as the atmosphere, and you can't do that. It has to have more to it to be creepy, like because basically they were trying to use the idea of no escape to give you that feeling, that sensation that like, oh my gosh, there's scary things happening. But I've seen movies where you could like move around and do things and go places. The Collection did way better. The Collector did way better at that no escape feeling and the atmosphere than this movie could have ever hoped for. In case you didn't know this, The Collector is one of my most favorite movies, and we'll be discussing that at some point soon because I love that movie. When it comes to the atmosphere, of course, it's just terrible. They just really tried to rely on they're in a lodge and there's a blizzard. So we've talked about that. The next thing is how Alicia Silverstone is in this movie. Like you don't know her. They don't build it up enough for you to see that this was a happy-ish family or that she was severely attached to her husband. Like nothing. So when she takes care of herself.
That didn't sound right either.
When she ends things for herself, while sudden, and it is very sudden, while sudden, it's not impactful. So you know the infamous scene in Hereditary, right? That is impactful. It was very impactful. It was very frightening. It was very upsetting and just traumatizing, right? That scene is forever etched in anyone's memory who watched that movie. And I don't want to ruin it for somebody who hasn't. But, I mean, you should have seen it by now. Point being, it's a very traumatizing scene, and it sets up the movie in more ways than one, right? Because there's a lot of stuff that builds up to this, and you know that he doesn't like his sister. And so, and again, they're like using that same trope. We'll come back. But you know he doesn't like his sister, and when this happens, you almost do feel like he kind of did this thing on purpose. And so when that goes down, like you can almost see like a little bit of foretelling of it, but there's a couple of things where one, you don't think that they're gonna show it, and two, you just kind of think that they're not gonna do that. And then they're like,
Ha, surprise, bitches, we did.
So in this movie, there was no build up to this situation going down. In the lodge, there was no build up to Alicia Silverstone being so distraught over him wanting to remarry that scene fell flat. It wasn't the shocking scene that you were expecting. And the only reason it's in any way shocking is because you're expecting Alicia Silverstone to be the lead. So they were also trying to pull that whole feeling from Scream where Drew Barrymore's in the beginning and you think she's not gonna die and then she does die and you're like, what? It's Drew fucking Barrymore. So that's another thing that they try to do is like pull, former big celebrity, whatever, however you want it. She feeds her babies like with a bird mouth. That was fucking weird, right guys? Like, anyways. Point is, they try to like bring her in and like fake you out, and I just felt like it was so flat, and there was nothing that really built that up to where you were like, oh, okay, I see why she's upset. And it's just like the skip to the funeral, you don't really see the girlfriend, so there's just a lot of stuff missing for that dynamic to make sense. Do you see what I'm saying? There's just a lot missing for that dynamic to make sense. Then you have, of course, you have the brother and sister. So again, they're pulling from that Hereditary feel again, they're brother and sister. But this time, they don't dislike each other. No. This time, they're in cahoots together. So the other thing about this is their children. It's very hard to believe that these children, again, because they didn't do enough depth and building of this family for you to really even care what's happening to them. So they didn't do enough for you to see why the kids, like obviously Alicia Silverstone did what she did, but you don't see enough like why the kids would really want to like mess with the stepmom to this degree. It doesn't even make sense. To me, I just looked at it as like, why would you go this far? Like they do this research at the lodge, and the thing is, they didn't know that they were going to be left alone with her. So that was another hole for me. It's like they didn't know that they were going to be left alone with her until they get there. And then it's like they have to get, so it was weird to me that they had all this time to like do this. I get they're in this lodge, but it seemed overly mature for, I think they were like 13 and 9, if that. They were fairly young children, too young for my taste to really feel like this kind of prank would be something that they would do. And it was weird to me that like she didn't even understand, like she didn't get it. And I get she wasn't on her meds, but there would just be a part of me that would be like, you know what, their mom did do this thing, and like now I'm alone with them, and perhaps maybe
They don't like me.
so it just, to me, seemed it didn't fit well or flow well that they were like able to continuously mess with her for as long as they did and hide her medication. And it also seemed weird that they knew, again, they just didn't give you the dynamic to where they would know that playing this prank on her with her former cult life would upset her enough. I guess their plan was that she would leave. And that was the other thing. It wasn't clear what the kids were after. It wasn't clear if they wanted her to leave. It wasn't clear if they wanted her to just end herself. It really, like, because if she did that, then they're left alone in this cabin. Like, oh, sorry, lodge. They're left alone in this lodge. So what was their objective? Do you see what I'm saying? It just doesn't, the objective really wasn't there. It didn't make sense to me that any of this would go down. Her complete devolution was just unnecessary and really fast to me. I don't know if people know how psychoactive drugs work. I do. Another story, but I do, and it usually takes several days for you to not, like, for all of it to have left your system. It usually takes several days for it to all leave your system and for you to go back to like, so it's not something that would have happened in a day or two. So that was the other thing that bothered me, is that they're trying to paint her as having survived this cult, and she is now taking psychotropic drugs because she's not doing so hot. And this is the thing that keeps her sane. But in that regard, if they just took them from her, they didn't make it seem like they were in the lodge for 3 weeks. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it seemed like it happened over a few days. So it wouldn't make sense that she would have devolved that quickly without her medication, even with them messing with her. I do feel like she maybe would have been like, ugh, but she also would have been like, I'm not on my meds, let me take some tea. Like, whatever she could do holistically, because a lot of people who take medication and run out of it, especially in America, because that's not unusual here, try to find holistic, homeopathic things to do in lieu of, like in between, so that if anything happens, they have coping mechanisms. So it just seemed very weird to me that she would have gone through all of this, and to get that kind of medication, you have to see a doctor, you have to see a psychologist. Usually they want you to also see a psychiatrist. Psychologist does the brain and the other one does the pills. So the thing is, none of that added up. So this was just a hodgepodge of movies thrown together, poorly done, and it didn't go well. Yeah, it didn't quite add up, because when you watch the preview, it seems very creepy and like atmospheric, but when you're actually watching it, everything just seems to be like, you know how people will sing that song and they're always just like under it, you know? Like not that song, just a song. They're just always like right under it, and you're just looking like, can you stop singing? That's what this movie felt like. Oh, baby boy's dreaming. So I would personally give this a D. Like, not even a D plus, just a D, because the atmosphere was bad. The acting was like, it was okay. It was okay. The resolution was just bad. It was just bad all around. Like, the father comes into that situation and just doesn't seem to get that everybody's in danger. Like, he just doesn't get it. He's just like, sweetie, you're going to be okay. And she's like, and just bam, and she shoots him. And it just seemed to me like everything kept happening in a weird, the pacing was bad too, because there's long period of time where they're kind of messing with her, and they really just should have made it known from the jump that the kids were messing with her, and did that. Like, it did a better job of being like, these kids know all this stuff about her. They should have done that before they went to the lodge. Like if I had made that, they would have done that before before they went to the lodge. I also would have done a better job of showing that family dynamic, showing why Alicia, there we go, Alicia Silverstone would be so distraught over this particular divorce and him getting married and wanting to end things with her, showing that family dynamic, even being able to show the children not liking her. All of that would have been able to make it better, and then also not relying on just being trapped in the snow. So that is the video. If you guys want to watch the lodge, you can, but I would not recommend you watch that one because it's garbage, literal garbage. D minus, F. It's not an F. It's a D. I wish there was an E. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. To my patrons, thank you so much. I love each and every one of you. You guys are amazing. Links to all of my socials and merch are in the description below. I love each and every one of you. Have a wonderful day. And until next time, stay creepy, guys, and deuces!